Right. Well, the job. So now I had to get serious at the health department. We were here. I had been introduced to the community in early December, but started working, got into my office for first day, I think it was January 15th or something like that. Beginning of the end of the second or beginning of the third week in January 1976. I had met the major players in the department, principally the so-called division directors, the management or administrative team, the people who were in charge of divisions like nursing, like environmental health, air pollution, housing, and so on, health education, etc. And they were the team that I would be most involved with, along, of course, with Noble Sherrard, who's the deputy director. But Noble then started the task of getting me introduced to people in city government that I had to work with, city council, the mayor's office, other offices that were related to work we did. And then I was also getting acquainted with the health community, mostly the healthcare community. So I went to, I guess there were all 4 hospitals there then, because St. Thomas was separate from SUMA, and there was Akron General and Children's Hospital. I got myself on the courtesy staff of each of the hospitals. No pay, but at least being listed as a consulting staff member for public health issues. Because I was pretty sure there was, we were going to need them as partners for some of the things that we were doing or would be likely doing in the future. And I just spent a lot of time walking around, meeting people and trying to get a sense of who they are and what they do and how everything was connected. Because then there were also the other social agencies in town, the substance abuse centers, the Planned Parenthood, social work organizations, and on, all of which were related in one way or another to work done at the health department. And then I had in the spring, I had a rapid introduction to problems in Akron. I was called very early one morning, just as I was about to wake up, telling me there was a public health emergency. This, I don't remember when it was exactly, April or May, maybe, yeah. And there had been an explosion in the sewers downtown. What had happened was there had been a rubber strike at that point, and a couple of the strikers decided to do some sabotage. And they got into the basement, I think it was Firestone plant, and they were in the basement were these big vats of rubber solvents.
I think it was Goodyear.
Was it?
I think.
No, I think it was Firestone. Anyway, they opened the vats and just ran this solvent into the basement. They broke a basement window, got in, and got out. So they opened the vats and these solvents poured in. I don't know what they thought the solvents would do, but of course, these industrial basements had big drains in them. So what did happen was that the solvents drifted down and went into the drains and into the city sewer system. And then this was early morning, somewhere 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. It was dark and all of that. And so as this stuff hit the sewer and began to move through the sewer, they moved into larger and larger pipes, of course, as it moved down the pipe tree. And as it got into these larger pipes, the air interface with the fluid got larger and larger. So this stuff began to vaporize. And so we had this combination of liquid stuff and vapor moving through the sewers. Then apparently what set it off was there was a police car on Exchange Avenue. And they were doing their sort of early morning rounds. They were coming down the street and they were going in and getting their searchlights and just going past the businesses there to make sure that everything was still solid and tight. So they had gone back behind a restaurant. I think Papa Joe's restaurant was still down there, and had come around and had come back out onto the street and were parked, just stopped looking for traffic before they entered the street. And they happened to be parked right over a manhole cover. And
They were moving.
well, no, eventually they were moving.
Let me reload. Hold on a second here.
Mhm.
We're going to
Recording
reload.
stopped.